Okay, so we are going to get into the section of Unit 5 that talks about buying and owning a vehicle. And we're going to do some link clicking, so just bear with me as we go. The car buying process is one that really needs to be thought about. Buying a car is definitely not an impulse purchase. You should just not go for the shiniest one you find at the car dealership. You want to start off with the idea of identifying your needs and your wants. So what do you need your car for? So your first car, if it's just getting you to and from school and to different things that you participate in terms of extracurriculars, then you just need a car for you. You don't necessarily have to worry about something that's sporty or, able to go off-roading. It's literally something to get you around South Brunswick. But if you are going to be making a much further drive, like if you choose to go to college and it's out of state, or maybe if you are planning to start work right away and the job that you're going to work at is not in South Brunswick, then you have to think about making sure that your car is able to get you back and forth in the long run. So you don't want a junker that's going to fall apart on Route 1. You need something that's more reliable. Once you've figured out what you need and what you really want with a car, you also have to think about what can you actually afford, because everybody wants a fancy sports car or a really luxurious car, but if you can't afford it, well, that's a different story. So we're going to determine monthly payments, and we're going to talk about the total cost of ownership, because when you buy a car, it's not just about buying the car. There are a bunch of other things that have to be considered as well. So if we're talking about the car buying process and identifying and researching, a lot of videos online, and we'll watch one or two in class after this, but a lot of videos online show you the process. So there are people that go undercover and really go through the research and the conversation with the dealership to get the best deal for the car. So you determine different types of cars that would meet your needs. So again, if you're just getting around South Brunswick, you could just get any 2- or 4-door car. But if you are a mom with 5 kids, then you're going to be looking for something more of a van type. Or if you're doing a lot of things out in the wilderness or contracting work, you're going to be on sites, then you probably need like a pickup or something that can go off-roading. So you're going to do your research on the best types of cars to meet your needs. And then you want to decide whether or not you want to buy a new or a used. Obviously, new cars are much more expensive, but with a new car comes a lot of great features and factors. So again, you have to determine not only what you need and want, but what you can afford. And then you have to determine the ugly word. How are you going to pay for it? And they say that 20% of your max, 20% of your overall budget, under really, 20% being the top of the budget, is what you should be spending on a car. And when they say spending on a car, they're not just saying car payment. They're saying that in your monthly budget, which we will go back and look at, you should only be putting 20% of that a month towards your car. Gas, car, insurance, all together. And again, I'll show you what that means. The first vocabulary term that you want to write down at this point is the term pre-approval. Because in order to find out how much money you can spend on a car, you have to determine how much money you're going to be qualified to borrow. So you can sit down with a bank or a car company and say, okay, I'd like to get pre-approved. And after the process takes place, they'll let you know how much money they'd be willing to loan you, which actually tells you how much money you have to spend on a car. So once you figure that out, this awful term right here, which we will get to in Unit 6, is the term insurance rates. It is mandatory in the state of New Jersey for you to carry insurance on your car. So this is part of that 20% that I was talking about. Part of what you have to budget for is paying for insurance for your car. We are going to do a little bit of research. So once you've decided what type of car you would like, the internet is the basic way people research cars at this point to see what's available. On the internet, Auto Trader, cargurus.com, and other car dealerships, both new and used, can be found. The process to buy a car says find them, but then test drive them. Don't ever buy it without getting behind the wheel. So you're going to drive the car off the lot and see how it handles. So even though you fell in love with what it looks like and you found a pretty decent price, you still want to make sure you actually like the feel of the car since you're going to be stuck driving it for a while. In the car buying process, there's also a recommendation that you check the history of the vehicle. So there's something called a VIN, and we're going to talk about that on the next slide. But a VIN is kind of like the car's identification number. You can take that VIN and go to Carfax.com, which I'm pretty sure you've probably heard a commercial about. They do commercials about what's the Carfax, but really they're talking about Carfax. And you type in the VIN, and the VIN then tells you if the car's been in any accidents, how many owners the car's had, so how many times has it been sold. Probably the mileage each time it was sold is another thing that you can get information about. So once you get the Carfax, which gives you the car's history, you also want to maybe have a mechanic, if it's a used car, take a look at it. If it's a brand new car, you don't have to have a mechanic look at it because the car dealership has a warranty on that car. So if a mechanic looks at a used car and finds something wrong, you can try to get it fixed by the car dealership before you actually purchase the car. But if it's a new car and nobody looks at it and it breaks once you get off the lot, usually that's covered for a certain amount of time and you can get it fixed for free. Now back to the VIN number. The VIN number stands for Vehicle Identification Number, and it can usually be found in a bunch of different places on a car. The driver's side, under the hood, between your front and what they call carb and windshield wiper unit. Mine is also engraved on my glass itself. So there's a bunch of different places where the VIN number can be found. This way, if your car gets into an accident and the windshield has to be replaced, that's okay because the VIN number is in a few other places. Now, when we're talking about buying a car, again, talking about the process, you want to determine a fair price for a car. This is actually the definition down here for that term. The fair price is the price that usually lies somewhere between the sticker price and the invoice price. So once you've done the definition of a fair price, you want to go back and add sticker and invoice. When a dealership is buying a car, they might go to another dealership, or they might go to another country, or they might actually go to a factory, and they buy the car at what's called the invoice price. So when you buy a Honda, the Honda was purchased at an invoice price by the Honda dealership. So the Honda dealership doesn't actually make Hondas. They buy Hondas to put on their Honda lot. The invoice price is the price the dealer paid for the car. So this term right here has its definition right after it, invoice price, the price the dealer paid for the car. Then the dealer puts the car on the lot with a sticker. And the sticker price, also called MSRP, is the price that the dealer wants you to pay for the car. So let's just say that the dealership bought the car for $10,000. That's the invoice price. They're going to try to sell it for $20,000. And that sounds like a lot more, but there's a lot of things that they pay for with the extra $10,000 they make. The real part of buying a car that people don't necessarily feel comfortable with is negotiating the price. If you go to sites like Edmunds.com or Kelley Blue Book, it'll tell you what a car is worth. Once you know what a car is worth, you're then able to negotiate the price. So if I go to the Kelley Blue Book, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up so that you can actually see what that looks like. The Kelley Blue Book asks you to get a vehicle, fill in the information to learn more about it. Once I have that open, and I'll go ahead and type in the South Brunswick code, this way we can all see what's happening. They're going to give you some categories and questions to ask to make sure that the car that you're looking for, they have the right information for it. So I'm going to say a Honda Accord Coupe, which is the type of car I have. It asks you to pick specific. I'll just pick this coupe 2D. I don't actually, they're all 2 doors. And then it gives you some more information. So price without added options. So we don't care about anything else. We just want to know what's the typical price. So based on good condition, if you want to get a used car price, and again, this is the Kelley Blue Book website. I'm just doing my car on the Kelley Blue Book website page. For a 2012 Honda Accord Coupe, this is the particular model. It tells you that a fair market price is between $9,132 and $10,887. So when you go to the dealership, you should bring this research. If they try to price it over the $10,887, you could tell them that you looked at the Kelley Blue Book price and that this was the range, and you won't pay any more than numbers in that range. So that actually is a service provided that's really helpful for you to go ahead and do what we call negotiate. There are things called dealer add-ons, where the dealership tries to extend warranties or add fabric protection or add something fancy to your car to bring the price up a little bit more. If you really, really, really want one of those things, feel free to say yes. But most people say no because they don't want the extra add-ons added to their price. Then comes the financing, and financing is a word used to describe the terms of your loan. So when you are financing a car, they talk about a 36, a 48, a 60, or a 72-month finance or month loan. So if you divided all these by 12, because that's how many months are in a year, 36 months is a 3-year loan. 48 months is a 4-year loan. 60 months is a 5-year loan. And that's right, 72 months is a 6-year loan. Longer terms means lower payments. That's right, a longer term means lower. That's the word that should go in here, payment. So if I choose to pay for my car for 6 years or 72 months, my payment is going to be super low. But the higher or the longer you pay, the higher the interest is. So your total interest is going to be higher because you're paying every month for 6 years. If you choose to pay for your car within 3 years or 36 months, your payments are going to be high because you have to hurry up and cram all those payments into 36 months. However, you will only be paying for 36 months, so you will only be paying 36 months worth of interest. We'll do some math to show you exactly what I mean. The last term on this page that you want to be familiar with is the term leasing. And leasing is just like the term leasing for an apartment. It's using a property, in this case a car, for a set time and monthly payment amount. You own nothing. You have to understand all the details. And in some cases, there could be penalties or fees that get added on at the end of your lease. So we're not saying that leasing is a bad idea. You just have to know what you're getting yourself into with a car. New cars have a bunch of things called warranties. So a warranty covers cars for specific things. Down here it gives you a little example. The Acura has a 4-50,000, which means 4 years or 50,000 miles. That's how long it's protected. Now you could upgrade it and pay more, which means that you could have it covered for 6 years or up to 70,000 miles. That basically tells you that you have up to 70,000 miles in case anything goes wrong. You don't have to pay for it. But again, it costs you extra to have that kind of protection. Here's an Aston Martin, which is a very expensive car, and here's their warranties. 100,000 miles, 100,000 miles, both only 3 years. Then, if you want to do a warranty for corrosion, which is when the metal rusts, that's 10 years, 100,000 miles. So various cars have different types of warranties. The important part is that you know what your warranty is and what parts of the car it covers. For example, when I bought my Honda, the radio broke within the first week. It was faulty wiring and they fixed it for free. But if that had happened 10 years later, it was no longer covered. So I would have been stuck buying a whole new radio system. Another thing that's important to know when it comes to buying used cars is the term lemon. A lemon is a car with substantial defects that the manufacturer has been unable to fix after repeated attempts. So if you drove, say, Ultima off the lot and it just kept breaking, and each time it broke down it was the same problem, and the manufacturer took it back and tried to fix it, after a while the manufacturer would have to allow you to either get a new car or get your money back because of the lemon laws. Lemon laws protect consumers from the consequences of buying a defective car. So usually the law is the first year or the first 12,000 miles. If you buy a car and drive it for 10 years and then say, hey, something's wrong with this, well, now you're out of the lemon laws policy. But if it's within the first year and something continues to have to be fixed, that's when you can consider that car a lemon and apply through the lemon laws to have either a replacement or a refund. Here are the other things I was talking about when I talked about the cost of a car. You're not just paying the monthly fee for your loan, you're paying for gas. And in 2017, gas was $2.51 per gallon. Now you can get it between $2.15 and $2.30. It fluctuates throughout the year. However, that's still your expense. It would still cost you about $30 to fill up the tank of a small car. That's not cheap. And if you're doing it every couple of weeks, you definitely have to have that money flow coming from somewhere. Now, some people use apps like Gas Buddy to find the cheapest gas in their surrounding area. It kind of puts it on a map for you. But again, you can't just not buy gas. You can't avoid it. Maintenance and repairs are another costly thing that you have to keep in mind when you have a car. So yeah, it's great to get one, but you know Route 1 can be pretty crappy at times, and if you drive over a hole and get a flat tire, that's on you to pay for. If there's any accessories that you want to buy for your car, like windshield wiper protectant, or maybe you want to get a cover for it, or maybe you want to get one of those screen things for when it snows, that's your money. And of course, the cost of a car only goes down. It depreciates in value as soon as you start driving it, because mileage makes a car wear down quicker. When you first buy a car, you have to get the title and the registration put into your name. So you register it at the DMV and you get the title paid once. So once you have the title, it's in your name, you don't have to pay for it again, but that's a cost. And then you have to register it each year after you have it at the DMV. So that's a renewal every year for about $35. The thing that is helpful out of all of this mess is the idea that we can get our emissions test, we can get our car inspected for free. So every 2 years, or if it's a new car, I think it's now 7, you have to go to the DMV and they inspect your car. The big thing they're looking to do is give you an emissions test, which means that they're making sure that your car isn't polluting the atmosphere too much. In other states, there's actually a fee to have your car inspected. This is the one thing that Jersey didn't make us pay for. But it's still a pain in the butt, and if you get it inspected and they find something wrong, you have to have it fixed immediately. The best things to do for your car are to maintain its maintenance schedule, meaning that each car comes with a booklet that'll tell you what you should have done and when. When should you get the windshield wiper fluids fixed? When should you go ahead and get an oil change? When should you get your transmission fluid checked? So to extend the life of your car and to make sure that it doesn't get run down or broken down too quickly, you want to make sure that you do all of the routine maintenance. They suggest that you keep your car in a garage to avoid weather changing the outside of it, to use wise driving habits. You know, if you get into an accident, obviously your car's value goes down. Clean and protect the inside and clean and protect the outside of your car to maintain its value. And when you're doing so, make sure you're using the right stuff. So you want to make sure you buy the inside cleaner or the outside cleaner, maybe from a car wash or a dealership, so you know that whatever you're using is not going to ruin the material. Each year the value of the car goes down a little bit because you're driving it, but keep the value somewhat high by doing these things. Cars can be expensive. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one because they are necessary to get around, but you want to be aware of what you're getting yourself into. So that's the end of Unit 5.2. Terms that you want to make sure you add to your list will be terms that you will see on the actual Quizlet. So please go to the Quizlet 5.2 to see the vocabulary and its definitions.